good evening to you, our dear viewers. Thank you for staying tuned on Race TV. I am Jackie Lingla, as always, ready to update you of what is happening on this side of business. Welcome on Business and Sport. Now, we were very excited when we had our very own national carrier revived. And we have seen over the years that we have had new aircrafts and also new destinations added onto the list, but of course we've been having so many questions, especially crossing around the social media platforms. But today I have brought you an official from Uganda Airlines to explain to us some of these key issues. And of course we celebrate the successes. It's very important that we get to know how our aviation sector here in Uganda is progressing. A very good evening to you, madam.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Fine, how are you? And thank you for having me.
We are very excited to have you on Race TV.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so could you just introduce yourself to the viewers and just explain what you do in Uganda Airlines?
My name is Rahim Shakila Lamar. I head the corporate affairs and PR at Uganda Airlines, and thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Now, for those Ugandans who are watching us right now, could you just explain to us the mandate of Uganda Airlines?
Yeah, maybe to just also take you back, we revived the airline in 2019. But the plans had been there 3 years before. And the first study to revive it was approved in 2017. And this study was carried out by National Planning Authority. And the study had to give evidence and justification of why we need a carrier. And for that, we thought that we were losing a lot of money because we did not have direct flights to one of, actually most importantly, the regional destinations. For example, in East Africa, in the neighborhood, Somalia, Congo. And as you can see, the East African integration now, we are one.
Okay.
And many countries are coming on board. So I think it is fair to say that the airline was revived in its time, and this is the right time for it to be revived. And after the study and the approval of the study, the President, His Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, was gracious enough to support the airline to start. And that meant that a core team was set up to start the revival of the airline. And that meant writing policies, producing plans to purchase aircrafts. And as you can see, we boast of 6 aircrafts, 4 CRJs from Bombardier, and also the 2 Airbus, the 800 Neo. So, and these are flying, for example, these are flying the international route, Dubai, the one that we started last year. But then we all of them coupled in one, there are 11 destinations.
Okay.
Yes. Those traditional routes, for example, Nairobi, Kilimanjaro, Tanzania, Dar es Salaam rather. We have Bujumbura, we have Kinshasa, we have Mombasa, we have Zanzibar, to mention but a few. So this basically with frequencies that keeps changing, because actually when you look at when COVID disrupted us, we also reduced the frequencies of some of these routes, flights. For example, Nairobi that had 4 times daily, we reduced it to 2, morning and evening. So we would say that the revival had mixed feelings. A certain section of the public was excited and another was not. Of course, you can't blame them because they still have the phobia of the airline not working.
Okay.
But here for us, every day we wake up and we want to make the airline work. And that is our mission, and we are going to make it work.
Okay.
And the reservations that the public may have about the airline, I would like to assure you that we have 95% of Ugandans with experience working at the airline, making sure that those birds fly every day. They fly on time and they're safe. And we want to make sure that our customers have the best experience on board. And this is attested to even organic affirmations that we see online, that when you step on board, you really see that we're out there to give you the best experience on board. Yes.
Now, since the airline was revived in 2019, it has been a couple of 3 years now.
Yes.
So are there any significant successes that you have registered as a national carrier?
Yes. First of all, we are very excited that we got our operator's certificate from UCAA.
Okay.
That gives us the wings to fly to given destinations. And then the successes, one of the major successes is that we're able to fly to 11 destinations. But we have 28 BASAs. These are bilateral air service agreements with different countries that we can fly, wake up, as long as we adhere to regulatory regimes. We can fly to Nigeria.
Okay.
We can even fly to the US. I remember sometime early this year we had a buzz of Uganda Airlines being seen in Seattle. Yes, doesn't it give you joy that
was exciting.
you can see that the Airbus can fly up to Seattle? So these things give us hope every day that even with all the criticism, not all is lost. So the major achievement is us being able to fly to these destinations, the 11 destinations, to open our first international route to Dubai, to fly to South Africa. There is nothing that beats a direct flight. Then also another significant achievement is us getting the operator's certificate for cargo operations.
Okay.
Now we have cargo services. We are shipping animals, we are shipping fruits and vegetables to all our destinations, majorly Dubai. But we are looking at these other destinations like, for example, Khartoum. They want wheat, they want fresh fruits and vegetables. So there is a lot of opportunity for Uganda Airlines to tap into. London will come soon, and people are waiting for it to be able to carry fish, fresh fruits and vegetables, minerals, so many things. We want to open up to develop routes, for example, like Arua. There's a lot of minerals and a lot of business there because it is bordering Eastern Congo, and there's a lot of business there. So we're looking at those things that can be able to make the airline profitable in the long term.
That drives me to my next question about domestic flights. Do we have already operating or functioning domestic flights within Uganda?
We have the other domestic operators, but the Uganda Airlines has not tapped into it. Yes, but in our strategic plan, 5-year strategic plan that we are going to launch, we have plans to revive the domestic operations or to start domestic operations. But what we will do, because it's another arm of investment that we have to go through. You have to get different sets of pilots, engineers, you have to have a hangar, and also buy fleet. But we're thinking partnering with domestic operators who have already established themselves. They can sell us and we can sell them. For example, tourists, when they come, they just come and then they are flown to all these destinations by other operators. For example, people like Bar Aviation. Yeah. So those are the strategies that we want we are putting in place to make sure that the airline is profitable, but also it taps into the domestic market to develop it even further. Also, another achievement is stabilizing the routes. We have stabilized, for example, the Nairobi route. You would fly on that route for over $500. It was very expensive. But now, you can just wake up, go on your phone, Even if you want to fly now, you could just go on your phone and you will get a very good rate, and so it has become competitive, you know. And that is the beauty of having a national carrier. Then another thing are jobs. You talked about the closure of the other airline, but I want you to think about this. Where did those people go when the airline was closed? So those people have been absorbed again. We have pilots who've been flying for other national carriers or other commercial carriers out of the country, in Russia, in the Middle East, but they have come back home with experience to even train young pilots. Yeah? So they are excited to come back home to even invest here. So there's nothing that beats that. So employment. So there is another achievement of self-handling. We had handlers at Entebbe, our hub, but now we've gone full-blown self-handling. We bought our equipment, so we're handling our security, baggage, check-in, and other ramp services of cabin grooming, for example, cleaning the aircraft. And then as also we stabilize, we want to handle our own cargo. So that is a very big achievement because it gives us the authority to manage our own affairs and also be able to create employment for these young people to be able to work in this operation. Then also the other achievement is the hope of the aviation industry. Think about the youth who have been studying to become cabin crews, dispatchers, engineers. They feel that tomorrow I can be absorbed by the national carrier. So this is stimulating demand for aviation professionals. Also, we are nurturing the next generation aviators. Yes.
Okay, those are quite a number of successes that you have mentioned right there, but every business has challenges.
Yes.
Now, given the history that we had, of course, Ugandans had ideologies of, oh, will this happen again since it closed in 2001? Now, will the history repeat itself? And of course, most of them had the phobia about the reviving process. Now, what are some of the key challenges that you have, apart from just the ideologies that people had in the past? What are some of the key challenges that you have seen since 2019?
Maybe I would like to take you see one of the major success in these 3 years is the social investment the airline has made. Some of these investments you may not touch and feel, but think about the Ugandan companies that are supplying the airline. Bubu, yogurt, the organic bananas and onions and the pineapples and the eggs and everything we're consuming on board. The alcohol, the sugar, the tea, the coffee, yeah. That is social investment. Think about the jobs that we are indirectly and directly creating through giving these contracts to these people. Yeah. So I'm thinking that the social investment even outweighs some of these challenges. But I'll tell you some of the challenges we faced is that Ugandans have failed to appreciate, to love their homegrown things. They're very quick to judge. They've not given the airline time. Fine, there have been challenges, but they have not given it the benefit of the doubt. Yes, everybody overnight, everybody is an aviation expert.
Okay.
So those challenges are there. COVID hit. You can imagine we're just 6 months in operation, and people forget that we've lost 1 year. We're not even 3 years. We lost the full year. Do you know that the skies just opened early January? So they forget that COVID hit us real bad. We did not fire staff. We were paying them 100%, medical and everything. But they also forget that we repatriated our people from all the different countries. And that is a service that we're really proud about. You can imagine if we didn't have a national carrier at that time. So COVID really hit us hard. We would have just started opening some routes, but then we remained grounded for over 6 months. And also, when you look at now the price of fuel, it was always 20% of the operating cost, but now it's over 50%. Everybody's feeling the fuel, so you can imagine the aviation fuel. Then, of course, in the aviation sector, it's, getting staff, experienced staff, for example, pilots, who are type-rated with different equipment. That's why you have to get experts to train our other people or other pilots, yeah, so that they can learn. Training of pilots to be type-rated also on different equipment is also another expense, yeah. And we have to train so that we can retain, and also they have to be paid well, because pilots are highly competitive professionals. If you do not pay them and retain them well, another person will poach them, another carrier will poach them. So you find that that is where the costs go. Ground handling. Those are very expensive because we are handled here at the base. We are handled in all these 11 outstations where we operate. That is also a cost to it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, of course, we cannot overlook the fact that social media platforms are tweeting and sending a lot of information about the losses of the national carrier since it was revived in 2019. What do you have to say about this information that we get?
What kind of information? About different things?
About the national carrier making losses. Like, of course, most of the Ugandans were tweeting that we should close it up. Instead of making profits, we are spending a lot more in terms of investment than the turnover.
I think it's also lack of information and taking everything out of context. Because when you look at the losses they're talking about, these are justifiable figures. I have just said that we lost 6 months, or close to 1 year, without operating. But remember, we had just procured fleets, cash, not lease. So those are in our books as sunk costs. And when you look at depreciation, it takes you out over the top. Then also, at that time, self-handling was supposed to start in 5 years' time. But when COVID hit, we re-strategized and said, no, let's buy self-handling equipment. So imagine that money that was supposed to be spent in 5 years, it was spent now. So what does that make of the balance sheet? Still, you find that fuel, when we planned then, fuel was a bit low, but now it has put 50%. So now, these projects like self-handling, when we start it, it's going to reduce the cost by 60%. Of course, we've put money in equipment, in hiring staff and stuff, but in the long run, the cost will reduce by 60%. So you find that these losses are justifiable because you have capex, you've invested you have capital where it is lying there, and it's being used and it's usable. But the returns are coming, and remember that the airline can only make money in 5 to 7 years. Yes, it can never make money in 2 years, because even in route development, the route will take up to 3 years to develop. I'll give you a scenario. Our first flight to Nairobi, we had 8 people.
That's the entire aircraft.
Yes. And because you have signed an agreement, when you look at IATA protocols, you sign an agreement, even if it's 1 or 2, you have signed, you have to be consistent and you have to take them. 8, Nairobi, but now it's full, always full. So the route has to take time we have to market, it has to take time to grow and to develop it. Yes. And like I've said, we lost 1 year, we're into I would say 2 years. So which route is mature enough to make money? Nairobi is mature, Somalia is doing very well, Juba is amazing, Dubai is 50-50. So we will get there. Very optimistic, very optimistic.
Okay, those of you who are joining us right now, I'm with Madam Shakira Rahim, the peer of Uganda Airlines, of course, giving you more information that is very vital for us, especially Ugandans, that we have to support our very own instead of looking at the negative side. It's always better to know the entire broad picture before you draw to conclusions. So the airline has been very, very important to the development of Uganda, well as bringing on not only providing jobs for Ugandans, but also supporting various sectors in the economy, where we are having suppliers that are actually making sure that they produce products here. For example, she mentioned that the aircraft is consuming the eggs, the coffee, all these out there companies that are supporting the agriculture sector and providing to the airlines. So let us not look at the side of losses, but focus more on what the airline is doing positively in the economy. Now, Madam Shakira, I have one question still on that very note. Yes, Ugandans have been mentioning that we have had losses, and you have cleared it out for us. That they were inevitable and they're justifiable, and we have seen that. But are there any key strategies that the management of the national carrier has put on board to make sure that the airline is profitable in the long run?
Yes. For example, I talked about self-handling, that in the long term it will reduce, of course, 60% of the operations cost. We're looking at increasing the fleet, a mid-range that can bridge the gap between the CRJs and the Airbus. It can be able to do 7 hours with good baggage and carry passenger and cargo. But also we're looking at 2 freighters for cargo, because we'd like to enhance our cargo operations.
Okay.
Yes, in the region, because the next big thing is cargo. You see, when COVID hit, it opened people's eyes, especially aviation was more alert. So we have to future-proof ourselves, because you can sit there and order your goods online and they'll come. So who's bringing them? Yes, so we find that I think we want to invest more in cargo. We want to build our own hangar where we can maintain our fleet and also be able to handle or service other carriers, that third-party maintenance. We also want of course, that is the approved maintenance organization where we have a maintenance arm that can maintain our own fleet and then also be able to maintain third-party, do third-party maintenance or maintain other carriers' fleet. And that also brings in some income. Then also we're looking at also handling our own catering. All these are reducing costs, because catering services are handled by a service provider. So if we do it in-house, we would be saving money, but also that one needs investment, remember. Yes, so also we want to start our training organization. It will also help us create a pool of TOTs, trainers who will be able to train and also reduce cost on training from outside Uganda.
Currently, we are training from outside countries.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
countries? Is it okay for you to mention?
Different countries. Yes. Where we are, for example, where we different certified, different in the US, in Europe.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Shakira, for that information. It's very important for us Ugandans to appreciate the work that you are doing for the country that you're serving in the national carrier. Now, moving on, we have investors in levels. We have our local investors. We have people who have had investments all over Uganda, but they might not be so formal. For example, the investors in Chikuro might have the money, but the knowledge of how it's very important to save time, to travel and look at other investment opportunities out there might lack in some way, or they might even just sit back and say, I fear going in that direction, let me just stay within the economy. So as a national carrier, have you put up any strategies or kind of awareness to Ugandans of why it is important to travel and why it is important to support our very own national carrier?
I think travel is a necessity, and aviation is associated with business and leisure travelers, and sometimes emergency because of medical issues. But why the airline was revived was to boost business, trade. Actually, we act as an enabler.
Okay.
We want to ease these processes. For example, when you look at our first international route to Dubai, it's the traders on that route. So we are working with organizations like CASITA, PSFU, Uganda Export Promotion Board, to make sure that these groups are taken care of. These groups understand the protocols of traveling. And now with some visa issues in UAE, and we're always talking to the leadership to see how we can work with these groups, giving them priority, giving them relatable rates of travel because they're frequent flyers. And also trying to see how we can even create partnerships beyond just a business partnership. Thank all the Ugandans who have supported the airline and who keep supporting it and who keep thanking us for the good service on board. My assurance to you is that we'll continue to bring to you, to serve you, and to give you the best experience on board. But also I would like to ask you to patronize the airline, because this is our airline, it is your airline. And I would like to say that do not believe everything you hear, see, or read, because I'm here, and I'm the only one who can give you the answers to all your questions about the airline. Thank you.
Everything that you hear on social media platforms concerning Uganda Airlines, and learn to support your very own. I'll not go further than that. Till next time on Friday, the exact time 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. I'm Jackie Lingla. Good evening.